What is up, Watch fam? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to this week's collection review. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and today we're reviewing a really awesome collection, one that a watch geek and a fan of Theo and Harris shares or is inspired by his father's watch collection. So let's do it. All right, but before we get into it, a quick wristwatch check. I am wearing one of my favorite watches of all time, actually probably my favorite watch of all time, a Rolex reference 1603. It's got a mint, flawless silver dial, tritium throughout the hands and the lume plots, and of course an awesome steel engine-turned bezel, which adds a real ruggedness and sportiness to this watch. So yes, if you know me, you know my passion for this watch, so I don't need to say too much more. But it is for sale in the watch shop at theoandharris.com. So even if you're not on the market for one, I really do recommend you go over there and just check it out. And I took some really awesome photos of it, and it's good to just educate yourself on what a date just should look like. So that's it. Let's get into today's collection review. It was sent in by Ben, a Theo and Harris watch geek. His name's actually Benjamin. I'm just going to call you Ben. I've just never seen the name before, so maybe I don't know. I don't know where you're from, but good for you, Benjamin. So Ben explained to me via email that he and his father, or his father got him into watches, and now he and his father share that passion together, which I think is awesome. So many people, so many watch geeks out there don't have anyone to share their passion with, and that's why, I get so many emails so they can share it with me. And while that is awesome, for me, because I get to share my passion with so many people, I do feel bad, that there are so many people out there that really want to talk about watches over a drink, and just can't because their friends don't care, and their girlfriend thinks it's a waste of time. So yeah, props to you and your dad for having such a cool relationship. That's really awesome. So let's get into your first watch. It's one of my favorite watches of all time. It's not a watch that I have owned in my personal collection, although I really, really would. It's a watch that we actually do have in stock at theoandharris.com. Actually, not on the website, but in the safe. It's an Omega Seamaster Chronograph, powered by the 321 movement. This is the Moonwatch movement. This is the same manually wound chronograph movement that is found in the original, Omega Speedmaster Moonwatches. It's so good. Even Roger Smith, one of the, or probably maybe the best living watchmaker in the world, wears himself, which is hysterical considering the man makes $100,000 watches for a living. So yes, it technically is a wonderful watch. It aesthetically is a wonderful watch. What I love about it is how it truly does make a sport, function classic and dressy. I have no problem, with sports chronographs. Am I a huge Hoyer fan? No. But do I respect them immensely? Of course. Still, my personal kind of taste and tendencies do lean on the dress side. So to see a complication that is so just classically aggressive and sporty and belonging on the track, executed in a way that is kind of my style, that is refined and clean and just, formal, is awesome. So yes, objectively, for the watch, I am a huge fan, and the fact that your dad gave it to you, the fact that it's your first watch, the fact that it represents so much to you, makes it, infinitely better. What a way to start, man. All right, let's move on to your next watch. It's a Steinhart Navbe 44. Real quick, I love the design of these watches. It's a classic design from the 30s and 40s, I believe, made most famous by the pilots' watches, the Luftwaffe, from the 1930s and 40s. These, largely, most famously, were Nazis' watches. But if you can look beyond the detestable history, those original watches themselves are awesome. They are true tools watches. These watches in every way were built and designed to serve their function of being used by pilots. These watches had to be the most obtrusive, large, legible things in the world, and they were. And it just so happens that I think that they executed that in a really, really beautiful and now classic way. I think a watch like this remains kind of much more true to the original design and tool function than like the Navitimer, which is also, one of the most classic tool watches of all time. but that watch has kind of, become a little bit blingy, whereas a watch like this has maintained this truly tool, watch. Nothing like jewelry, just like an actual, mechanism on your wrist. Now, the one problem that obviously presents itself here is that Steinhart, the brand, has no claim to, this history. Now, while I don't care too much about that in and of itself, I do think you could have went with like a Leica, for example, a watch that actually has claim to that history. I could see why you didn't want to go IWC. They're quite expensive, and I can understand that. But there are other options, like I said, like Leica, that actually do have claim to that history. And finally, your most recent watch is the Rolex Explorer, reference 214270. My quick thoughts on this watch. As a watch, I think it's awesome. As a watch in the Rolex line, I think it's one of the most attractive. At 39 millimeters, I think it really hits a sweet spot that the GMTs and that the Submariners, don't. I think that this 39 millimeter watch, although just technically 1 millimeter away from the Submariner at 40, is a world of difference in feel. And I know that a lot of people who are even looking for a sports watch can't go with the Sub, just because that super case is just overwhelming. It's just too big for a lot of people. So yes, I am a huge supporter of this particular watch, but my only drawback on it, and this is very personal, is that I do prefer the 36 millimeter Explorer for kind of historical sake. I do think that because of the nature of the Explorer, it should be the most unobtrusive or the least obtrusive watch possible. And I think at 36 millimeters, it's a little bit more a part of your arm, whereas at 39, it becomes, an extra, it becomes a watch on your arm. I know that's only 3 millimeters. I know I kind of sound like I'm being nitpicky. And ultimately, I recognize that my criticism does not matter. Because at 39 millimeters, it's beautiful. I think it's way more suited for most people's wrists. I just think for an Explorer, it's a little bit large. But I know that's me being a little bit anal. Okay, to recap, you've got 3 watches, a perfect 321 Seamaster Chronograph. Does not get much better than that. You've got a Steinhart, which is an homage, a ripoff from the original, pilot's watches. I think it's a very cool watch. I think there were other brands you could have gone with. And a Rolex Explorer, a perfect watch in many, many regards. So what do I recommend? I know you like to keep it below 40 millimeters because you mentioned in your email. And I know you do like tool watches that have, utility. And obviously you like historical provenance because from the Pilot to the Explorer and of course the Seamaster, there is deep-rooted history in your collection. So my recommendation here is a watch that I talked about a couple of weeks ago on Liquoron, and Anna, you can put the link in our description below. It's the Longines Railroad watch, a truly beautiful watch designed today with complete respect to the original Longines Railroad designs in a 40 millimeter case in stainless steel. I think that it's a little bit overpriced at $1,800, or I won't even go that far. You can get it for a lot less money, and I think that because you can, you should. This is a watch that you will genuinely be able to wear, enjoy, and pass down. It's simple, it does what it does, and it does it really, really well. It's appealing in design, it's true to its own history, and mechanically, it's something you'll never have to really be worried about. Sure, does Longines kind of deceptively brand the Edda Movement Longines? Sure, but ultimately, at probably $1,000 or $1,100 or $1,200 max, you're going to snag yourself something with actual, historical significance, something that is always going to look cool on your wrist, and something that you'll never have problems servicing. I know Longines isn't really in the, favorite of the watch community's brands right now, but I really do see a bright future for them ahead, as I do for you and your collection. Thank you so much for sending me this collection, Ben. It means the world that I have your support, and I couldn't be happier to have looked at your collection. Please send your dad my regards. Thank him for getting you into watches. And that's it, guys. Have a happy Wednesday, and I will see you all tomorrow.